Hey guys, Pat here. Today I'm gonna talk about one of the most influential, if not the most influential, rhythm game or music game ever made. It has spawned a ton of sequels, like literally. Ever since 1998, it's gotten so much sequels. And it's still going strong today. Its name is Dance Dance Revolution. It's actually very, very popular, especially in the Asian territory. And well, in Japan, there's still tournaments, and I still see people playing it in the arcade. So without further ado, let's dive into the game's history and how it came to be. Also, this is a part 1 out of a probably 3-part series, and I'm just gonna talk about the main series. So there's gonna be some mention of some spin-offs like Dancing Stage and other stuff, but not much. Now, before we get into the first release of Dance Dance Revolution, we have to go back to December 1997. During that time, Konami just launched a new rhythm game called Beatmania. Beatmania released on December 31st, 1997 and turned out to be a smashing success in Japan. It revolutionized the whole genre of video games, the rhythm game genre. After revolutionizing, no pun intended, a relatively new genre, which was technically created in 1996 with the release of Parappa the Rapper, Konami decided to work on a new game based around dancing. Its name was Dance Dance Revolution. The first release of Dance Dance Revolution was released on September 26, 1998, just two days before the release of Beatmania 3rd Mix. Turns out Dance Dance Revolution would be a success. It was a hit in Japanese arcades. Its gameplay featured arrows scrolling up to stationary arrows that were on top of the screen, so that the player would just time the arrows to the stationary arrows. The background was a trippy video with a 3D character superimposed on top of it. It also had a rating system for steps. Bad and miss were the worst, good was okay but it would break your combos if you had one. Great was that the arrow was almost timed perfectly, and perfect was when the arrow was timed exactly on the stationary one. It had 11 songs, and I think a little bit more in the American version, though I could be wrong. On the other side of the world, Konami would start to import Dance Dance Revolution cabinets for American and European arcades. The arcade version of Dance Dance Revolution released on overseas territories on March 9, 1999, the same day as the European release, although the European release was titled Dancing Stage instead of Dance Dance Revolution for some reason. After the release and the success of the first Dance Dance Revolution game, Konami decided to work on a sequel to the first Dance Dance Revolution game. The sequel, Dance Dance Revolution 2nd Mix, which followed the sequel naming convention of Beatmania, which was to put the second or third and mix at the end of it. DDR 2nd Mix was released to Japanese arcades on January 29, 1999, just a few months after the release of the first game. It featured 38 songs, with 17 new ones and 11 coming from the first version. Everything else though was the same. It also had other versions, which included new songs such as the Link version and the Club version. The Club version would interact with Beatmania 2DX. Again, the game was a hit, and it was so much of a hit that American arcades started to illegally import the arcade machines from Japan, which was, well, illegal. Konami didn't allow it. That's why when you boot up an arcade machine, especially like if it comes from Japan, you see a screen that says, oh wait, this ain't allowed. The next sequel was Dance Dance Revolution 3rd Mix, released on October 30, 1999. It had 72 songs for the Japanese version of the game, 65 for the rest of the world. It had an expansion version named DDR 3rd Mix Plus, which released on December 8 of the same year. At this point, DDR was a very popular game, being played in arcades around the world, even in the USA, despite the fact that after the first game's release, DDR wouldn't have another official release in the arcade until 2001. The sequel to 3rd Mix would be released on August 24, 2000, aptly titled Dance Dance Revolution 4th Mix. Its expansion version, DDR 4th Mix Plus, was released on December 28, 2000. New features included that the menus were now 480i instead of 240i, although the main gameplay mode which is where you dance, still played in 240i. Of course, since the game was such a success in the arcade, they released home versions for the original PlayStation. Its first home release was Dance Dance Revolution CS, released on April 10, 1999, with DDR second remix CS following on August 26, 1999. Third mix CS came on June 21, 2000, then fourth mix CS on March 15, 2001. All these releases only have the new songs in them, instead of a carbon copy of the arcade game song list. Although the American version of the NTSC-U home version came out a few years later after the Japanese versions, it released on March 6, which coincided with the release of DDR USA in the arcade. So with all that mentioned, it seems that DDR wouldn't get better than this, although it would. Unfortunately, we would have to continue the rest of DDR's history in a future video. So thank you guys for watching, like and sub for the algorithm, and I'll catch you all in the next vid.